Yo, what up? It's AaroniMoses. In this video, I had a number. I wanted to just say the 13 big differences between Chicago and Atlanta. Now, I was born in Chicago. I moved to Atlanta when I was, I'm going to say 10. And then I've been moving back and forth. I moved to Arizona. I moved to Oklahoma. But mostly I've been 50-50 between Chicago and Atlanta. And I'm going to give you I'll just give you 13. The biggest differences between Chicago and Atlanta. Now, first, Atlanta is a little crazier than Chicago. Now, the reason I say this is because when you watch the news and when you hear about what goes on, the crimes are more violent. They're more violent and they take place in different parts of the city that doesn't really make sense. So, for example, if you watch the news in Atlanta, it might be arson, somebody's house might have blew up, a string of jewelry heists or something like that. Now, another thing about, Chicago's crimes is pretty much, child neglect, shootings, robberies, property damage. That's pretty much what it is in Chicago. You don't hear about all the diverse, bank robberies, jewelry heists. But another thing is Chicago is a lot more corrupt. See, I lived in Rogers Park. And then that year that was an okay part of the city, a good part actually. They don't report crimes to the public in these good hipster parts of the city where there's colleges and things like that. Atlanta, pretty much, they'll let you know everything. Chicago they cover everything up. There's some parts of the city where you can't even get reports on these crimes. For example, it was at least 4 shootings when I lived there I think I was there for 8 months. 2 of them happened on my block. 2 of them, one that happened on the intersection and one happened right before the park. It was another one on the other side of the park, which not even my neighborhood at that point. But Chicago covers shit up to keep people safe and I don't know, it's a lot of mob activity. It's a lot of mafia shit going on, a diverse amount of activity and effort to cover things up. But the crime in Atlanta that is reported, yeah, I live in ATL. Some people are crazy. Yeah, the crimes that are reported in Atlanta, as far as the police bought 17,000 kilos from the FBI, and I was like, what? They're not gonna tell you that shit in Chicago. They're just not gonna do that. They might lock them up, but you won't hear about it. They might send them somewhere else to do their prison time, but you're not gonna hear about it. All right, so the next thing, this is important, but not really. So the driving and the traffic, pretty much 90% of people from Chicago are from Chicago unless they're foreigners. The traffic it gets bad, but it's not one of the worst traffics in America. Atlanta, nobody in Atlanta is from Atlanta. So when you have all these different driving styles, there's going to be accidents. There's going to be a lot of car crashes. A lot of car crashes, especially when it starts raining, bro. People just smash on the gas and try to get home as quick as possible in Atlanta. 2 inches of snow in Atlanta, people go fucking crazy. 2-3 inches of snow, they're shutting down the schools, bro. When I lived in Atlanta, it was only like 3 snowplows in the whole state of Georgia. So we couldn't do anything. I think we missed school for like 3 days because it was 2 inches of snow. Right. Tajala, bro. Next. When I first moved to Atlanta, I could not understand what anybody was saying, bro. When you speak to those inner urban natives, the west side, the east side, the south, you don't understand what they're saying. Now, a lot of people from Atlanta talk fairly slow, but a lot of people from Atlanta talk really fast. And when you listen to it, it sounds like a banjo or a guitar, but you have to really pay attention when people from Atlanta talk. People from Chicago, you can understand for the most part what they're saying, but if they use a lot of slang, you're not gonna know what the fuck they're saying. Like Japan and I can't really think of too much right now. But the slang is it's like a whole different language in Chicago. It doesn't make sense. And then the slang doesn't really make sense. It's like they just made some shit up. So that's a big difference. Now, number four, this is a big one right here. Speaking ATL, exactly, bro. Exactly. This is a big one right here. Now, the white people. White people, this is the South, right? It's strange because in the South, they still have that slave mentality. When you talk to somebody from Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, as far as them, the country mentality towards white people is usually what I've seen is they're regarded as something high. They're put on a pedestal. So when a and not everybody from the South, not every black dude from the South, but if they get a white girl, that's something special. Like they think they really accomplished something. You know, this is why we have how people in Atlanta, people from Chicago, when I first came up here, they knew I wasn't from here, and I didn't even always wear my Braves hat. But just the dress, the polos and the khakis and the Sperry's and the Ray-Bans, that's just from them being integrated with white people on a specific level and having a certain respect and love for white people and seeing what real money looks like in specific situations. Now, Chicago is very diverse, but it's very segregated at the same time. You have people who have never left the South Side before, who have never seen a white person, never interacted with white people on that level, never really had a conversation with a white person for that long. One of my cousins, he was like, "Hey, bro, how was it having sex with a white girl?" And I was like, "It's pretty normal." And I was like, "Why?" And he was like, "Man, I be wanting to have sex with them white girls, but I'm scared, G. I'm scared they gonna, call the police on me, try to say I raped them or something like that." And I was like, "You're scared to have sex with white women? That's because you're from Chicago, but you've never been in these situations." That's strange to me. That's strange. Yeah, Chicago. Like, Chicago's weird because the Latinos in Chicago will be racist as fuck. And I'm not saying all of them at all. I'm not saying all Latinos in Chicago are racist. Shout out to my Latinos. But they will never interact with black people, be racist, and they sound just like the black people. They have the same exact accent, calling each other Joe and G and saying nigga, nigga, nigga all day, but they don't have any black friends. And I don't know how that happened, but it just happened like that. A lot of Latinos in the South, mostly as Mexicans in Atlanta, a lot of them are really racist or mess with black people because they're curious and because they know there's a strength, because they know that this is the black Mecca. We're gonna have to mix, but it's mostly the people that's fresh from Mexico, or the people who most Mexicans that I've interacted with in Atlanta claim Mexico City or say they're from Mexico City, which I guess there's a lot of money, or there's people from Mexico City that I've met that don't even speak Spanish. And you think I'm lying, but I'm not. So with that, of course, you can't jump from Mexico to white America. We're pretty much that middle ground. We are like the human, the most human you can get before you get to heaven, pretty much. And I didn't mean to say, if I sound ignorant saying any of this, I'm okay. I'm okay with that. But next, as far as with people from Atlanta being so closely tied to white people and trying to, I don't even want to say trying to be like the white people, but if you really know what I'm talking about, then you know what I'm talking about. The drug culture in Atlanta is much different than in Chicago. In Chicago, they pretty much do, ecstasy, smoke weed, and they have this shit called that leaf. And that leaf is pretty much like Sherm, PCP. PCP is like some, I've never seen it personally, but they describe it as weed dipped in embalming fluid. It's like weed, but it's brown, and when you smoke it, you hallucinate and you hear shit. People in Chicago don't do shrooms and acid and they didn't even sip lean when I came up here. And this was in 2009. Nobody sipped lean except for a select few. Maybe the people a little bit older than me or much older than me sipped lean, but they thought I was a crackhead, bro. Nobody in Chicago does cocaine. I never did heroin, but nobody in Chicago did heroin. Nobody in Chicago did Xans, Perkies at that time. In Atlanta, it's normal for, somebody from the west side or the east side to have done acid and shrooms and lean, Percocets, Xanax. In 2004 or 5, black people in Chicago don't fuck with the drugs like that. Black people in Chicago, I met probably 2 black people in Chicago that openly admitted that they've done cocaine, that they tried acid, that they've done DMT, they've sipped lean. And this is post 2008. This is when Gucci was like getting back in it, and they still didn't even sip lean like that. They would go get some Robitussin and, might get a codeine pill and crush it down and break it up in the Robitussin, shake it up and call that lean. And I'm like, that's not lean, bro. You're gonna have a fucking heart attack sipping that shit. They didn't even have triple stacks when I came up here. Like shit like that. The drug culture is way different in Atlanta. Everybody in Atlanta pretty much has done everything. I don't know how you could be safe, feel safe. I mean, if you grew up on the west side or the east side or the south side doing acid and hallucinogens and things like that, I can understand that. Chicago is another world. New York, they act like that too. All the Mexicans in Cobb are fake ass Mexicans. Want to be rednecks, because a lot of them are Mexicans from Mexico. There are a lot of them are first or second generation Mexicans, and they still have that mentality. They want that farm with the a couple horses, chickens, cows. It's people in Chicago that have chickens in their yard still. That's facts. It's people straight from Mexico that's in the suburbs of Chicago that have chickens in their backyard. They have chickens in the house and the dog outside and shit. That's not unheard of. That's just their culture. When I was trying to get at this Mexican girl when I was in high school in 2007, 6 or 7, I was like, so what's your dream house? Like, what's your dream life? And she was like, I want to get some chickens, maybe some roosters. I was like, what? Why do you live here then? Well, I mean, I wasn't thinking that. I was like, that's some country shit, But so next, I already said that pretty much. Chicago is the most segregated city in America, and I think it's been the most segregated city since like maybe the 60s, 70s, 80s. It's pretty diverse, but it's segregated as fuck. There's little China, little Italy, there's little Arabia, there's little Jerusalem, there's little India, little Africa. None of these people interact. There's like little Ukraine, little Poland. I think I already said Chinatown. I think there's a Korean town, and then there's the South Side and the West Side. But in the neighborhood I grew up in, Roseland, in the hundreds, I had never seen a white person or a Hispanic in any parts of these neighborhoods, the schools, none of that shit, except for my family. But when I went back, I was driving down the street, and I think I saw like 3 Mexicans, and I saw like 4 white people. I was like, what the fuck? Never seen that in my life. And that's not a good thing. But it's getting better, I'm guessing. There's more Mexicans on the south side and the east side from what I hear. A lot of Mexicans on the west side, a lot of white people on the west side. I mean, that has to do with the gentrification and, their families being a little bit closer and things like that. So they might feel a little bit more comfortable with that move. But I've never seen a white person or a Mexican in Roseland. Never. But Atlanta Atlanta has its different spots. Chicago's pretty set up and where you're gonna find these races and these people. But Atlanta is pretty much, you can't really specifically say all the time. Yeah, there's big ass chunks of Atlanta where you're not gonna see any white people or any Mexicans. Well, usually not any white people. But I mean that comes from Chicago. Shit is not like 2 miles away. In Atlanta, you can go from mansions to projects fairly quickly. You can go from good to bad fast on the street, not even on the expressway. On the expressway, it's a lot quicker. But on the street, it's like, I guess, like in LA, you can make the wrong turn and go listen to one song and you'll be in a completely different environment. And that says a lot. But next is Atlanta. People more so identify Atlanta with Texas. They think Atlanta is, well, before, like when Soulja Boy came out. Prior to that, when I would go back and forth for vacation to Chicago, south side of Chicago, that's a vacation, right? People will always think I will come back country, and they would just really think Atlanta was Texas for some reason. I don't know why. Before Chicago came on the scene, huge, everybody thought people from Chicago talk like they were from New York. I don't know why. Because everybody in Atlanta claimed to have family in Chicago. But then when they would say, "Oh, you from Chicago, son? Oh, you from Chicago, B?" And I'm like, what? That's not how they talk up there, nigga. What are you talking about? But I don't know why. They just always thought I listened to like Nas and Biggie and I don't know. It's very strange. I mean, back then, we'll say in like the 90s, early 2000s, the whole America was very influenced by New York culture. Everybody wanted to be from New York at some point in all of America. Now everybody wants to be from Chicago, so that's crazy how that flipped. But next, actually, I'm gonna squeeze these two together. So right after that, so when Ying Yang Twins Soulja Boy came out, when I'm like in middle school, high school, everybody forgot that Atlanta is a real city. When I would go back, everybody thought Atlanta was Hollywood, some Disneyland shit, you know. When I went up there, everybody thought I had money. I mean, because how I dressed, because what I was doing with my personal time. But like when I would go to the gas station to get some blacks or get blunts, and I would give them my ID. I remember this one time especially. Gave the chick my ID, and she was like, "Oh, you from Atlanta?" And she was looking at me. She gave me the eyes, and I was like, "Yeah, can I have my black in my eye while you staring at me like that?" Like it was just very sexy to be from Atlanta back then. But when you take that in Chicago, when you tell people you're from Chicago, first thing that pops in their head is, this person's dangerous. This person's a shooter. He's grimy. I gotta watch him. Especially when even when I first came down from Chicago, I turned like maybe 13 or something like that. And I told somebody that I was from Chicago. He was like, "Oh, you from Chicago?" And that's what's up. I never fought a nigga from Chicago. I was like, "You want to fight me because I'm from Chicago and you never fought somebody? That's stupid, bro." Just a dang. I think that nigga was just stupid. But I've heard that. Like, people don't even want to say they're from Chicago. They might say they're from Schaumburg or somewhere outside of the city. They might even say they're from Illinois or something like that, because people just automatically, firstly, now, like, if you, when I would say I was from Atlanta, back then they would say, "Oh, damn, hot Atlanta." Now people, it's flipped. Now people say, "Oh, you from Chirac? Oh, shooter, shooter, shooter." I'm like, I'm not a shooter, bro. Why would you say that, bro? Especially in Oklahoma, bro. That's fucking retarded. Yeah. Next, I'm not even gonna put that in there. No. Next is Atlanta is regarded as the Black Mecca. They used to say it was the Black Mecca of the South, but now they just say it's the Black Mecca. Everybody in Atlanta is on their grind, on their hustle, trying to be a business owner, in school, doing something for real, for real. Everybody, I think it's 70% of black males over the age of 18 in Chicago are not are unemployed. With that, I mean, I'm gonna definitely get into that last, but Atlanta is much better for black people, and they will openly admit that black people are the majority out there. And when you look up the word majority, that doesn't just mean the numbers. 1940s biggest race riot in American history. Doing all this ass. Ashley knows 1919. Black people had to live where the suburbs are now. Yeah. But majority meaning you have the most political power, you have the most money, and you have the most influence on an area. So I mean, moving to Chicago as a black person, I would say that's not a good move for you, because we don't own anything out here, except for a place in fucking jail. But it's much better for black people in Atlanta if that's what you want to do. If you want to work at IHOP for the rest of your life, it's not really going to matter. You should probably live in Atlanta anyway, because the commute's going to be easier. But yeah, that part. So next, now this is a big part. The next two things are going to be the most important things that I have to say about the differences in the two cities. In Chicago, there's only one county, Cook County. The biggest county, I think Cook County is the biggest county in America, or the second to LA County. Cook County is the second biggest county in America. With that being said, there's only one jail. There's only one jail. You have everybody from all parts of the city, north, south, and west suburbs, in one jail. And it's 1,000 to 2,000 of those people being circulated out that jail every day, every 24 hours. In Atlanta, there's 4 counties. There's Cobb County. I guess I'll put all the counties of Metro Atlanta in there. So there's Gwinnett County, Cobb County, Henry County, Fulton County, DeKalb County. 5 counties pretty much. I think I said Henry too. The perimeter is only Fulton and DeKalb, west and east. Then north we have Gwinnett and Cobb, south Henry County. 5 counties. Pretty much you're really only going to go to Fulton County or DeKalb County, right? You never have to meet these people from this other part of the town unless they were in that other part of the town. So you don't really have to. Well, Fulton County Jail with Rice Street, that's just hella dangerous, because that's mainly for violent crimes and felonies. DeKalb County, I heard, was a lot more chill. Whatever the case is, Cook County smashes all these people from the west side and the south side and the east side and the north side and the suburbs all together. Do you know how that affects the culture? That keeps the money flow. That keeps people develop new enemies. People develop new I don't want to say friends, allies, and ideas are shared, connections are made. When I went to jail to Cook County, I think the second time, what I saw was, did I not say Gwinnett? Okay, so Atlanta's Gwinnett County, Cobb County, Fulton County, DeKalb County, Henry County. Yeah, that's all 5. When I went to Cook County for the second time, everybody was saying from the South, everybody pretty much from the South Side was in jail for guns or some kind of discharge of a firearm or a shooting. Everybody from the West Side was in jail for some form of them getting money, dope, mostly heroin and coke is what they were in jail for. I think one person from the South Side was in jail for crack. But when you have that, not everybody from the West Side has a South Side connection. Everybody from the South Side has a West Side connection, and pretty much the North Side is a big mix of those things. The North Side is more on gang banging than anything, well, than the West and the South. But I just having that affects the culture a lot. Now, the first thing that I noticed in the differences between Chicago and Atlanta is that Atlanta is a hustler's town. Chicago is a gang-banging ass city. When I went to Chicago, I went there, yes, to realign myself with my family and, whatever. But when I got up there, I made a couple friends, I made a couple acquaintances, and I was like, yo, you are in a bad spot. I'm having money, I have a car, I'm living a little bit right here, bro. When we smoke, you only have $6 every day. You buy the blunt. Sometimes you don't even buy the weed. Most of the time I'm smoking you up. So how about this? How about I help you and 2 other people, you know, generate some funds, bro. Help you get some money, bro. I don't have to know anything about it. I'll help you out. I'll start you out and we won't bump heads at all. Trust me. And he was like, nah, bro, I'm not really on that. And I was like, what? You don't want to get money? You rather be broke and fight every day and be on probation? And he was like, man, we really just make sure that nobody else gets money over here, bro. We're cool with you, so you could do your thing, but nah, none of us really do that shit. And I asked a couple more people. I was like, bro, you want to do? Nah, bro. I'm just make sure you get your money and nobody else gets it. And I was like, what? That's crazy. And and I said that I tried one of the homies, and I was like, bro, what are you doing with your life, bro? And he was like, shit, I'm about this street action. And I was like, bro, how are you gonna be in the gang but you're broke? Does that make any sense? How you gonna be a gangster but you can't really be a gangster and be broke at the same time? You gotta have money. You have to have money to go to war, bro. Like you can't keep getting in fight. Not everybody's gonna fight you every time. You keep racking up all these hospital bills, fucking up the economy to get you some money, bro. And everybody, pretty much everybody, except for I had to ask a lot of people because none of these people had money. I was hanging out with a couple, maybe 2 of them, but that's because they had jobs. They had real jobs. 2 other people were actually interested. Well, firstly, because I just wanted to have that name. I just wanted to be the person that helped people out. This is pretty much why I started this channel in the beginning. But I'm not saying all people from Chicago think like this, but they are rather. That was back then. That's when I was 19 and 20, bro. But they're rather gang bang and make sure people don't get money where they are and make a name for themselves so other people can give them money free instead of just getting the money. If you gang bang and you hurt somebody, you hurt a lot of people, and you get caught on some petty stuff. You get caught with a pistol or something, they give you like 2 years. When you go to jail, you're going to have clout. People are going to send you money on your books. You're going to get out with a couple racks. That's dumb. And most of the people that I've seen getting money is because they they primarily made sure that nobody was coming to their area getting money. Number one, they drove them off. They made sure they weren't going to come back. And they were like, it's all these people around here that want to give us money. We might as well just start selling drugs and do it ourselves. Fuck it. But it wasn't like an automatic. It was a response, but it wasn't an initial thought. And Atlanta, bro, Atlanta is so aggressive about the money, bro. My cousin was telling me this story about when he rolled down the window and asked this dude if he knew where to get weed, and the car got surrounded by people, and some random dude just jumped in the car in the back seat and just pulled out all this weed. And he was like, bro, what the fuck? I could have killed you. Why would you do that? And that is definitely true. I've had people chase me down the street to ask me if I want to buy some weed, and like literally wouldn't let me. Come on, bro, I got a family. This is what I do. I'm like, bro, I don't. I will give you $5 to get the fuck away from me. And then I gave him the $5. This nigga put a 10 sack in my hand. He was like, come on, bro. I know you got another $5, bro. That's how I feed my kids. And I was like, nigga, give me my $5 back. That's not how it works, bro. If you want this $5 back, you're gonna have to take it. And I was like, I will give you the sack back. You'll have the sack and the $5. And he was like insistent. And I was like, all right, bro, take this fucking $5, bro. Take the $10. Shit, give me another $2. I'll give you the Swisher. And I was like, bro, I don't even smoke Swishers, nigga. Get the fuck away from me, bro. You're really on that with me? Like, people riding down the street on bikes, $2 sacks. Got $2 sacks. I'm like, I don't want to spend $2 on weed, bro. I'll take your number anyway. I might be back around here. I was like, man, you can't. The hustle is real in Atlanta, bro. It's definitely not as real in Chicago. I don't understand that. I mean, that's weird. I talked about that shit with one of the homies the other day. And I think that's a fairly new thing, though. I think that's fairly new. I think that's probably less than 10 years old, because that was exactly 10 years ago when that happened, when that information was given to me. So especially with this social media, I mean, you have to have money right now. If you want a social media account that's on fire, you have to have money. So that's probably shifting back, and hopefully that's not going to turn down the violence. That's not going to turn down the violence at all. Because I'm not saying people from Chicago don't know how to hustle, but when you think about it, everybody from the 90s that went to jail is getting out of prison 10 years ago. Everybody who went to prison 10 years ago is getting out of prison 5 years ago to now. And when you compare the timing to Atlanta, when there wasn't as much gangbanging and shit like that, that's the money era. These people in Atlanta who are getting out of prison, let's say they're doing 10 years, there's going to be more people in Atlanta that's getting out for kilos and bricks and all kind of conspiracies in RICO, more than Chicago. If you're doing 10 years in Chicago, 10 years in Atlanta, most likely in Atlanta you're going to be doing 10 years for some kind of drugs or something like that, or robbery. Chicago, attempted murder, something to do with gang banging. So when you had that mentality reintroduced to the street around the same time, we'll take 1995, right? If you had a child in 1995 that was 5 years old in Chicago, that was like the golden age of gang banging in Chicago. One of them, the second one. When you get out and your child is 15, that dude is going to be on some gang banging stuff. You're going to be, this dude was around other people that was in the same jam as him. You take that same kid, just like one of the homies. He got out, he went to prison for selling drugs, and he went to prison and was trying to soak up knowledge on how to sell drugs better and find plugs on drugs. Chicago dude went to jail for gang banging, even more, learn where to get bigger guns, more guns, how to assassinate shit better, hop out of trees, how to breathe, what drugs to take so you could sit in a bush for 3 days and wait on your target, shit like that. So it's a little bit different, bro, especially when you take the amount of diversity. See, the way Atlanta is in my opinion is because of the integration. When you have all these poor black people interacting with these rich white people, or even these white people that are just as poor as them, but a lot of white people have rich relatives, if not all. Just like all black people know somebody that's in their family that stays in the hood. When you have that, of course that's going to motivate somebody to get some money in Atlanta. In Chicago, you are really only around black people if you stay in the hood your whole life. 90% of the time, you're around other poor black people who've never seen money but on TV. And when they did see that money on TV, the people who had the money didn't look like them. And the people that they do interact with that are white, they're probably gangbangers, gangsters or some shit. That's probably why white people in Chicago really don't have any desire to interact with black people. Number one, because they don't see them. Number two, because a lot of white people in Chicago have gangbanged and have seen it, or have relatives in the mafia or some kind of organization. So when they see this black person, first of all, they're like, "You're not even a real gangster because you got your pants hanging all off your ass and shit. You don't have on a suit, and you don't have any money. So I can't really respect you. You look like you're gonna rob me or do some grimy shit." And not all black gangbangers in Chicago, but that is just, these are not my opinions. Some of these are my opinions, but these a lot of these are facts. The crimes, the diversity in crime that is publicly reported in Atlanta is crazier. It's crazier. I don't think I've seen on the news that there was a string of gas stations getting robbed, but not like jewelry stores and houses exploding, and not the variety of crimes that Atlanta has. Number one, when you watch the news in Atlanta and you see the different crimes that goes down, and they're like random times of the day, you're like, what the fuck? What the fuck kind of Sodom and Gomorrah shit is this? Next, you cannot understand how somebody typically from the west side or the east side or the south side talks in Atlanta. And you cannot understand the slang in Chicago, worth the shit. How white people are viewed and treated in these two parts of the town, these two parts of America are totally different. The drug culture is totally if you do anything but if you do anything but smoke weed in Chicago back then, 10 years ago, they viewed you as a crackhead, bro. You sipping lean and popping ecstasy pills, and that's the hardest thing you could do was ecstasy, and ecstasy is pretty hard. Honestly, when you wake up, you feel like shit, especially if you drink a little bit. But in Atlanta, it's very normal for somebody to have done lean, Percocets, acid, shrooms, Molly, triple stacks, DMT, Xannies, Roxy's, Coke. That's normal in Atlanta, especially at a young age. Next, diversity. Atlanta is much more diverse and more integrated. It's not more diverse, but it's definitely more integrated. Chicago is segregated like a motherfucker, bro. Next, people thought 15 years ago that Atlanta was Texas. And 15 years ago, shit, before drill music came out, people thought that, so 2008, 2008, people thought Chicago was New York. People thought people from Chicago talk like they were from New York. I don't know why. It makes sense though. If you've never been anywhere, you don't have the internet. Yeah, the internet just came out, so that makes a lot of sense. The internet just became a household name, so that makes sense. People thought Atlanta, but when Soldier Boy, Yin Yang Twins, Lil Jon, who's not even from Atlanta, came out, they thought Atlanta was Hollywood. They thought Atlanta was fake, and they thought it was very sexy to be from Atlanta. And this is before everybody knew that Atlanta was like super gay as far as the gay population. And I don't know why, but people didn't know Atlanta was as serious as it was until like 21 Savage came out. I don't know why. Like, Atlanta has always had some of the most dangerous projects in the history of America. I think Atlanta was even at the top of the body count list at some point. I think twice. I think once when I was there in like 2002, I think the murders were like top 10. They've never been that high after that, I don't think. But then before, I think in like the 90s or some shit, it was pretty high. The 80s or the 90s, I don't remember. But Chicago, everybody's always knew that Chicago was grimy and dangerous, and it's more real. You see less unless you're going downtown. You see less breast implants and lip injections, and everybody wasn't trying to be a rapper until 2009. There wasn't that many models. When you go downtown, Chicago, there's these females walking around with all black with black shades walking like they're on a runway, and you can tell them from the normal women because they're just waiting on somebody to walk up to them. Hey, do you model? That's how the whole Atlanta is, though. That's how the whole Atlanta is. It's pretty fake, bro, because everybody's trying to be something, and it's always been like that. Everybody's always was trying to be an actress or an actor or a rapper or a model or something. It's always been like that. Since I've been there, it's always been like that. But and Chicago is becoming slowly more like that. But it's more concentrated though. That's another thing. Downtown Chicago's beautiful. Downtown Atlanta, it's nothing. It's nothing like that. Downtown Atlanta looks like fucking Roseland, bro. That shit looks like the hundreds in certain place. That shit looks all dark and ashy and dingy. It's crackheads everywhere and shit. I think it's a whole bunch of homeless shelters down there. There's nothing wrong with homeless shelters or anything. But downtown Chicago, Atlanta is businessy, but it's nothing like downtown Chicago. And if you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. It smells like crack and weed, and I don't know. I haven't been in Atlanta in like 3 years, so but from what I remember, it's like that. It was like that. Next, I mean, Atlanta's the black mecca. That's where you want to go if you want to come up. You want to make some business connections. If you are opening a black-owned business, or if you just want to blend in. If you're, I don't know if I will refer anybody to living in Atlanta anymore, especially if you have children. But Atlanta looks fire from far. Atlanta is fucking fire, bro. I love it. I've been trying to move back after I had my son. I was like, I don't know, but because it's just how I want to live, it's not gonna align with how things are gonna come out from my son. Chicago. It's not like I'm out here though in Chicago. It's not like I'm running around. I might go to a little club here and there, go to a little pop out to a little party or something like that, go to the studio. But I really don't do shit. I feel like I would be susceptible to doing some shit in Atlanta. I feel like I would start doing fucking like acid every weekend and just being everywhere. I feel a little bit more, even though it's easier to get around at night in Chicago than in Atlanta, but I feel like I would turn up a little too hard. And I'm more open to meeting people in Atlanta for some reason. Chicago, I mean, I don't know. People from Chicago are pretty cool too, especially the females. But mm, Because everybody wants to have house parties in these weird ass places in town and expect you to show up. And I'm like, I'm not going there, bro. Can I smoke a cigarette in the house? Okay, then I'm not going there. But then next, there's a lot of fake people. There's a lot of fake people anywhere, bro. 9 times out of 10, if you have more than 1,000 followers on Instagram, that's not your life, and you do things differently than if you wouldn't have Instagram 10 years ago. If you were 10 years older and this was 2008, you would not be acting like that. So, like this. So, yeah. And then the way that the jail system affects Atlanta is much different because how many different counties it is, and the size of Atlanta for that to be that many different counties, I think is fucking ridiculous. The size of Chicago and for there to be only one county, I think is ridiculous too, because we have this large number of people coming to this one jail, and it's not little. And I think they just added an extra building to that bitch. But last time I went, it was like 4 people to a cell, one person sleeping on the floor. Like it was over. It's never not been overcrowded. It's never been not overcrowded. I've only been there in the wintertime when people turn themselves in for warrants, so that makes a lot of sense. But if you know that's going to happen, you know there's going to be an influx of inmates during the wintertime. People are either doing crimes to get something for the holidays or to recover from the holidays, turning themselves in or forgetting that it's wintertime and you can't do that, how you can't move how it is, how you can move when it's not winter, which is only for fucking 4 months. I don't know. That's the difference too. I forgot about that. The weather, bro. In Atlanta, it's only two. In Atlanta, it's pretty much fall. You get fall, spring, summer. That's all you get. Everybody, if you've never been outside of Atlanta, don't say that's cold, bro. The coldest Atlanta will get is probably 15 degrees at night, 22 degrees during the day. Chicago is only winter and summer, bro. There's only 2 weeks of fall, 2 weeks of spring. That's it. And it's cold from October to April. So you get May, June, July, August, September. And it's a little nippy in September for 2 weeks. Was I here? Yeah, it was still cold. It snowed twice in May this year. So we only get you only get, and then for a whole month it's gonna rain. Before it gets summer, it's gonna rain that whole month. Tornado warnings and shit. So it's really only okay to come outside for 4 months. Other than that, those other 8 months, it's either 0 degrees, 20 degrees. It's either, okay, the first indication, it goes from 60 to 40 in Chicago. Then it goes from 40 to 20. You wake up, it's 20 degrees every day. Then you wake up and it's in the single digits every day. And then for 2 months, it'll probably be like negative 1 degree to negative 10 degrees every day for 2 months. And then it's going to jump back up to 2 degrees. And then you get 10. And then you get then it jumps to like 40 one day out of nowhere. From 10 to like 30. Then you get like 35, 40. Then it's like 40, then 60, then 40, then 30, then 40, then 20. And then it's just 60 degrees and then 80 degrees. That's exactly how Chicago weather is. And then that between that 60 and 80, it's gonna rain, bro, every day. It's gonna rain every day, even at night. Atlanta, you can wear shorts all the way to October, sometimes to December. And then it's cold, and then by the middle of March, it's 70 degrees again. That's why I love Atlanta too. The penalties for weed. Wait, what? What are you asking me? All cops in Atlanta are cool with weed. What? I mean, yeah, I've never got messed with for weed. Um, Not even in school. It's not legal at all, but I don't think weed in Chicago, weed in Illinois is legal. It's what's decriminalized. Before, they would just give you a ticket, but now you can smoke a blunt outside if you want. I think I don't really smoke, so but I think you can have up to like 20 grams or some shit like that, maybe 12, something like that. But it's pretty legal, bro. It's pretty legal. It's not like it's recreationally legal. You don't need to have a card. You need to have a card if you want a certain amount. If you want more, I think you can have like 2 ounces if you have a card. Um, but weed is pretty much legal in Chicago, in Illinois. What are the penalties for weed? You used to, yeah, used to need a card. But cigarettes cost like $13, so a nigga might have to start smoking weed again. Fuck this shit. Why don't I smoke weed instead of tobacco? Well, I already told this story, but if I if I just stop smoking weed, I get depressed and I can't do shit. I have to smoke weed. If I smoke weed a little bit, it gives me anxiety. Like when I'm sober, it turns up, and I don't even really have anxiety like that sober. But when I smoke weed, it gives me anxiety when I'm not high. And then I have to smoke weed before I do everything. And I'm not good at doing everything high. And I don't even have to get like super. I could just take like 2 hits, but that shit still knocks me off my square just a little bit enough, you know. But just when I stop, it makes me depressed. Um, and then it takes a lot for me to get used to it. Like if I wanted to just be smoking weed every day, I would have to smoke like a whole eighth, which is not that much. But I would still have to traumatize myself into smoking weed again. It takes a lot for me to get used to it. Like I will have to, probably roll up a whole gram and then just hit that bitch twice a day and then just keep doing that. Or I could just get super high one day and then just smoke a little bit less and less and then see how it affects me. But pretty much building my tolerance takes a lot. It takes a fucking lot. A whole eighth will last me like a month. That's how long it takes me, or maybe like 2 weeks for me to get comfortable with just casually smoking weed. Man, I'm not trying to be. Oh wait, you're. I'm not trying to be that guy, but that shit's bad for you, my dude. We need a work man to stay on this earth. I mean, nobody in my family's died from smoking cigarettes in the history of my family. I'm not saying it's impossible for me to die from smoking cigarettes, but I think I'm pretty good. If I do get lung cancer, I'm just gonna start smoking weed or like meditating. Whatever. I'll be good. Do I smoke when I drop acid? Well, yeah, I did. I have. I don't feel the anxiety and I don't feel the paranoia and I don't feel like if I just try to smoke weed right now, I'm gonna be paranoid, anxious. I'm not gonna be comfortable. It's not gonna make me relaxed. It's not gonna relax me. But on acid and other drugs, drunk, I just can't smoke weed sober. I can't smoke weed without anything already being in my system. Like, I don't know. I haven't done acid in like years. All I've been doing is drinking. I will eat an edible. That's different. I don't know. I don't know what the difference is. I should probably look into that. But I could put like a half a gram in some edibles and be okay. Now I'll be paranoid for like the first 30 minutes until I find something to do. But it really feels like it's more body. I think when I smoke, it just goes to my head, or I don't know. But I can do the edibles, but I just can't physically smoke the weed. That's weird. Unless I vape it, I can vape it. I can vape oil it. Like I had a G pen, and that was okay. I wasn't as bad. I didn't get paranoid. But of course, yeah, I want to call a homie and go to the store. Let me check my finances. What is microdose? Microdose, maybe you can microdose acid. What does that mean? I'm not in the drug culture anymore, bro. Like maybe like I stopped doing drugs when I was like 23, like 2 years before Jimmy was born. Um, the last time I did acid was after. The last time I did acid was after I met Liz, so that was like 3 years ago. Yeah, a little bit more than 3 years ago. Um, yeah, I'm not into the drug culture though. Molly and that shit makes you feel like shit when you wake up, and it makes you all stupid. And Molly makes you feel fucking stupid and dirty. Ecstasy makes you feel stupid and dirty. Acid, you can't do shit the next day. It doesn't make you feel sick. You just don't feel like you're in your body still. You feel all light. You feel kind of unmotivated. Like, I mean, I thought a lot, and I just like, I wanted to do more and just relax. I couldn't do anything. I just wanted to barbecue and smoke cigarettes all day. As when you cut a tab into a lot of small pieces and take it periodically, it's supposed to increase the quality of life. Like take a little bit every day. Nah, that would fuck with my dreams. I don't know what that would do. I've never heard that. Micro, what you call it? Microdose. I was thinking about doing that with weed, so I can get used to it. You know how I said I maybe like if I just cook up a whole bunch of oil and then I like put a little bit in my food, but not enough to get high. And like put a little bit in my water every day. Hmm. So just not enough to feel it. I mean, eventually, my tolerance would be so high. I mean, I already have to do a lot. Like the whole thing about you having to do a lot once you do it, like the first couple times, that's not a myth. The first time I did some strong stuff when I was like 15. Apparently, it was like 2 or 3 hits in one tab or some shit like they like soaked it and like double dipped it or some shit like that. But now I have to do like at least 4 to 6 for there to be like a super for me to be up there to a normal person's probably like two would be like six for me, and that's not even a lot. Like one dude I know he has to do 10 every time, and I'm like, bro, that's too much. You know some other shit. You can't smoke acid. Oh, CBD. I have CBD oil. Yeah, that helps. Like when you wake up and you drink a CBD based weed, that's my favorite weed. I don't like the Kushes and shit. The Kushes and the I don't like the Kush. I like the purples and the blues and the shit like that. But when you take that CBD oil, which I should have done a video, I should do a 30-day CBD challenge or something like that. When you drink some hot water in the morning, which is better than cold water in the morning, when you drink some hot water and drop some CBD in the back of your throat every day, that it keeps you more, it doesn't get you high, first of all, but it keeps you more even killed and makes you less susceptible to snap on people. And it just makes you like, it just makes your brain say, oh, okay, let's just get the day started. And it kind of gives you a little energy. Like, I wouldn't refer anybody take CBD oil at night because it keeps you up. Well, it keeps me up. I think it's because I'm crazy, but it's good. It's definitely good. It's good for hangovers. I don't know why. When you get drunk as shit, it keeps you from going crazy. Um, when you get drunk, or what I really want to try is I want to put it in some edibles and see some THC high weed and put it on some edibles. Do I still rap? Yeah, I do. I do. I had a whole two mixtapes coming out. My last mixtape was supposed to come out last Sunday, but it was actually supposed to come out on the first, but I I couldn't decide if I wanted to get it mixed or not, or just mix it myself. And then I have another mixtape I'm putting together. It's just gonna be the random songs that I have. I'm trying to figure out how many songs there's gonna be on that tape, and then I'm gonna get that mixed down. Definitely, I already have somebody to do the cover art and everything. But if any of you guys wanna, my SoundCloud has a lot of music on it. My YouTube has a lot of music on it. I have a playlist called My Music that has a lot of music on it. But the fans requested that I do a drill music mixtape, like for you guys. Emailed me because I put out those couple freestyles, the Detroit freestyles, and another one, and everybody was like, "Bro, you sound so good with that style, man. Just do it like that." And I was like, "You want me to do a whole drill mixtape?" I really don't want to do that, but yeah, it's called Bodies. I got the cover art. I got it's done. I just need to mix it down, and I really just need to, like, yeah, get it mastered. I really need to call this Uber because it's about to rain something crazy. I'm about to, yeah. Hold on, let me look at this weather radar. But yeah, bro, you can go to my Instagram, not my Instagram. Follow me on Instagram too at We the Bank TV. But you can go on my what you call it, SoundCloud. Oh, did anybody see that Dragon Ball Heroes episode last night? I'm waiting on them to put the dub out. I mean the subtitles on it. But you can go on my SoundCloud. I have a playlist and such. But yeah, I go hard, bro. Definitely, definitely. I'm about to drop like 14. I mean, like 24 songs for you guys. Definitely. Well, Bodies has like 11 songs on it, and then I don't know what I'm gonna call this one. I think I'm gonna call it Illuminati Dope, or somewhere between Life and Death. I don't. I think it's some cold ass names. I think that I do, but I just can't. Cause I was supposed to put out a mixtape like 2 years ago, but the last mixtape I put out, I had to take it down because I didn't put I didn't give any of the producers any of the credit, and YouTube was tripping, so I had to take it down. But my last mixtape was Beautiful Music for You to Kill To, which was a horrorcore mixtape I did that Halloween after I moved to Oklahoma, which was in 2016. Damn, but it's been 2 years and I don't even have any evidence of that goddamn tape. What do I think about DXM? I think DXM I've never actually gotten high off DXM unless it's DXM and triple C's, because if so, then I think that nobody should ever do that, bro. That's like the lean version, and it's not even lean. It's like the downer version of Flocka, bro. And I've never done Flocka, but from what I've heard about it and what I've seen about it, that's exactly what it is, bro. Fuck that shit. Don't ever do that, bro. You might as well save money. I'm not telling anybody to do lean, but you might as well save money and do some acid or do the real lean, bro, or something. Get some weed. Fuck that. Is that what they put in triple C's? Because I've done triple C's, bro, twice. That shit's dumb as fuck. I'm trying to download this fucking LYFT app so I can get my Lyft to the store real quick. Yeah, it's about to rain. It's about to be a storm probably. On my phone still charged up. It's worse than heroin. That's why I said I didn't refer anybody to do motherfucking lean, and it's not worse than heroin. Who told you that? My aunt did. My auntie on my mom's side did heroin for 35 years, and she can never travel again because if she goes too far from her farm, she has to take what's this shit? The methadone. She has to take methadone for the rest of her life. She's been doing this since the the 80s. She started doing heroin when my mom was 5 years old. When I was 14, that's when she stopped completely. But she was always on and off methadone since I was born. And she can't travel too far from Chicago because she can only get her methadone prescription from one clinic. Niggas aren't getting enough fucking lean and having to do methadone for the rest of their lives. So I'm sorry, bro. I can't agree with you on that. That lean is worse than heroin. Plus, it's not like when people do lean, they smoke weed with it. So the lean is not as powerful as you think. I mean, granted, I didn't do I've never been addicted to lean. I sipped lean every day for like 2 years, every single day. I've never been addicted to lean. And then I just did lean fucking the last time I hung out with her. Every time I chilled with Thirsty, we sipped lean. And then nigga gave me he gave me some lean to babysit his daughter, bro. So, and that was a good amount. So I've never been addicted to that shit. But lean's not worse. It's not worse than heroin. Not by a long shot. Do you know anybody who's on methadone for the rest of their lives in their 20s because they did heroin for because they did lean for a year? I know niggas who've done lean for 5+ years and stopped and never had to really wean themselves off or do any replacement drugs. And methadone kills you too. So I mean, I'm not endorsing lean. I don't recommend that anybody do lean. It's not even that good, bro. It's just more of a status thing. I mean, it is a drug, so it does what it's supposed to do, but it's not even that special. Like that when people kept saying that I was drinking a lot, they were like, bro, well, you need to get off that alcohol. Why don't you start sipping lean? I'm like, why don't I start sipping lean? Why don't you buy me a gun and I'll buy the bullets? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Why would you tell somebody to sip lean? Now, I don't want to be a hypocrite. I do make songs where I say I am sipping lean, or uh, or I'm telling you to lean. If you have it and you sip lean, this is a song for you. That's what I was saying in the song, and I was telling you about my past and what I've lived and what I've done and what I've seen. But no, I'm not telling anybody, look, you need to go to the doctor, nigga, and blah blah blah. Rap popularized lean a lot. Mm, it was more so the drug dealers. It did. I'm not disputing that, but it was more so the drug dealers because a lot of the people who would be on, let's say if you're a block hustler, right? If you stand on the block, a lot of them would have to do cocaine and Molly and shit to stay awake all night, come in the crib and sip lean. And they would go visit their cousin because they're either not even subconsciously going through withdrawals, not even knowing they're withdrawing, and sipping the lean with their cousin. They're like, "What the fuck is this?" They're like, This is what we do over here." A lot of niggas in Chicago sips lean before, but they just kept it more low key. Nobody in Chicago said anything about sipping lean, but they've been sipping lean low key, very low key. But it wasn't something that you talked about. Like nobody showed up with a whole 2 liter of Fago and poured it and passed it around. That didn't start until like till drill music came out. Sipping on some scissor, that didn't popularize lean, bro. They made it be known that that's what they do. But niggas in Chicago, nobody starts sipping lean because sipping on some scissor, and that's called sipping on some scissor. You know, it was chopped and screwed music, sipping on some scissor, and other forms of music that put it out there. But nobody started doing lean until the young kids said they did lean. Even when we said we did lean in our music, my generation, which we really didn't like that, that's when it started coming out. When people under the age of 25 start saying they sip lean, that's when it hit. Because who was out when I was there was no, there was really not that many people that was my age and rapping from, except Soldier Boy, from 2006 to 2010. Those 4 years, even from those 4 years especially, those 4 years of my youth, there was really not that many people that were my age. The rap game was really an older person's game at that time. Who was out back then? The West Coast, probably like YG, um, ASAP. They weren't even out 2010. Nobody was really out like that. That was my age, bro. Juicy J, yeah. Juicy J rapped about that shit all the time. But I want to think. So Wiz Khalifa's still like 2 or 3 years older than me. Who was out between 2006 and 2011 that was a teenager or early 20s? That was big. And I shouldn't even be speaking on that because I didn't even start listening to mainstream music till like 4 years ago. Besides Gucci, Jeezy, shit. I think Gucci and Jeezy were like 25 back then because Gucci's like 35 right now. So Gucci and Jeezy were probably like 24 or something like that. I don't remember. Probably I don't remember. But Two Chains is old, bro. Waka Flocka, right. But I never really listened to Waka Flocka, but he was Two Chains is like about to be 40, bro. But I guess 10 years ago, yeah, he was like still late 20s. Gucci is like 36 right now. He's not that old. So 10 years ago, yeah, Gucci was like 30. Two Chains is older than Gucci. 15 years ago, Juicy J was um still probably like 25. They came out when they were 19, 20 years older than me. I don't know how old these motherfuckers are. I think Juicy J is like 43. I don't know. Yo, what up, bro? This long ass video. I gotta get up. I might be back, bro. I'm gonna go get. I need to go get some cigarettes before my son gets home, and I gotta clean up and shit. Man, what's been good, bro? I've been chilling. Yeah, 2 Chainz is over 35. Yeah. He was 32 when what's that song? I Let Him Strippers. Whatever his biggest single was when he came back out. He was like 32. Or like Bands That Make a Dance. That remix. Save this video. I am. Yeah, 2 Chainz was came out with Ludacris, bro. 2 Chainz was yeah, he was like Ludacris came out when I was in middle school, pretty much. That first mixtape came out when I was in like fourth or fifth grade. The first album Ludacris came out with. And he was on that next one. He was on Word of Mouth. And Word of Mouth came out when I was in fifth or sixth grade. So yeah, 2 Chainz was so if I was 11 and 2 Chainz was like 20, yeah, he should be like, I don't fucking know. I'm not a big 2 Chainz fan. He's kind of corny to me. Dude, we're trying to figure out who was in their 20s, who was a teenager in their 20s that was hot back then from 2006 to 2010. We're trying to figure that out. I'm trying to think. Most of the rappers were from Atlanta and Houston and LA and New York. So Soldier Boy, yeah. And he talks about lean now. But I'm really trying to say the debate was, did rap popularize lean? It did, but by the time niggas started talking about it, it was already on the street. Niggas were already talking. Niggas were already sipping lean before we were talking. That's a whole nother video. That's a whole nother video. Matter of fact, let me call Dot Star and see if we can get him on here. Cause I might have to start this over. I haven't talked to this nigga in like 4 days, maybe 3. Yeah, but not even white kids sipping. Okay, so there's a difference between popularizing it and making it mainstream. Rap did not, rap made lean mainstream, but it was already popular. Niggas already, I can already tell you, Chicago was already on the lane. LA was already on the lane. Texas was already on the lane. Louisiana already on the lane. Tennessee was already sipping lean. Atlanta definitely was already sipping lean. Florida, that whole Southeast was already on the lane. Texas, Cali, Arizona, they still don't sip lean. Well, when I went to Arizona, they weren't sipping lean. Louisiana, I don't know about Oklahoma. If they did it in Chicago, most likely they did it in Detroit and um, Cleveland. They probably did that shit in St. Louis. Right, they did. Now, who was the fucking Shoreline Mafia, bro. Shoreline Mafia dude wanted to say that they invented putting lean in wine bottles and champagne bottles. They started doing that in Texas. because I was listening to a lot of Texas music when I was in high school, and I thought about it, but then I was like, because I thought I invented that, but I didn't. I was too young to get a champagne bottle, and I didn't even know how. I thought champagne was like $100 easy. I didn't know how much champagne was, so I just never did it. But I think it's because I heard it in a Texas verse, and I just never remembered it. I never remembered that, so I thought I invented that shit for the longest. So on a Vlad TV interview, there he was like, "Yeah, and you were sipping lean out of champagne bottle," and he was like, "Yeah, bro, niggas just be creative, bro. Yeah, I invented that," and I was like, "What? No, the fuck you didn't. That's the Texas thing, bro. Paul Wall said that shit like 3 years ago. How the fuck did you invent that?" Yeah, I mean, and the whole put the Jolly Rancher with the Sprite, put it in the freezer. I'm not doing that. I did that all of like 4 times, bro. 4 times. And then one time I did that shit and I put a bean in and that shit fucking fizzed up and like spilled up. I was fucking heated, bro. Jeez. Lowell did that shit and told me about it, and I didn't think it was gonna happen. So I did it and it happened. But let me see. Didn't Pimp C put everybody on back then though, and he raps. What? And the raps? What are you talking about? Didn't Pimp C or DJ Screw put everybody on back then? No. Well, I mean, I can't really tell you, bro, because I'm gonna tell you like this: Atlanta and Texas have always had a strong thing because Texas is big on the drugs, and it was a big connection. They get it, come straight from Mexico. They go from Texas to Memphis to Atlanta, or from Texas to Atlanta to Memphis. It's probably Texas, Memphis, Atlanta. And when you have that triangle, it's the cultures are going to intertwine, bro. When we have people in Memphis rapping about lean before people in Atlanta rapping about lean, then we have people in Atlanta doing tear the club up music and turn it into crunk music, and they get somebody from Florida to help pioneer the sound and refine it. It's really no telling where it came from. The lean sipping could have came from Atlanta for all we know. Who knows? Because that's some white people shit, to be honest. Pills and alternative and chemicals and shit, that's some white people shit, bro. That's some white people shit. You can even look it up. They were just like Jaeger, the alcohol Jaeger. That was originally a cough syrup, and it tastes like it, and that's German. And white people drink. Niggas don't drink that shit. That's some white people shit. They made cocaine illegal because black people started doing cocaine. They made weed illegal because I don't even want to talk about that. But sipping lean, I would say wherever the biggest integration is probably where it started. Maybe it could have started in Louisiana because all the freed slaves and all the independent black people interacting with the white people, having money and going over there. They could have had white friends, neighbor's house for sugar, neighbor's house for bread or something like that. And they're like, "Damn, why you always got so much cough syrup, bro? You stay with the cough syrup." They're like, "Hey, let me show you something." They poured him up a little for some shit. He's like, "Damn, that's the shit right now, boy." And then they just took it to Texas or some shit. That's my theory. I think the freed slaves and the independent black people took lean and just was using that recreationally for generations. And then it hit Texas, after the whole Civil War thing, and I think it just went from there. I think it started in Louisiana. I think it started with the freed slaves and with the independent slaves. Because after Louisiana, these were not like the typical white people. Yes, it was racist as white people in Louisiana, but these were French people. They were not like, they were different, you know? And then they were Haitian, they're free slaves. They knew they had to work together. The Creoles, I think the Creoles and the freed slaves and the white people coming together as a unit started that whole lean movement, man. That's what I think. But yeah, man. I definitely have to get on this lift, and I got so many mosquito bites. Head out, but that was an interesting conversation about lean and you motherfucker. You want me to talk about drugs all the time, bro? I don't know. I don't do drugs like that, bro. I don't do drugs at all. I told you I'm drug free, and I don't want to encourage anybody to do drugs. It's not cool, man. It's not fun. It's not a trip. It's none of those things. I mean, it's not. Stay in school. If you're under 25, you shouldn't be doing drugs anyway. Let your brain heal, man. I'm about to be 30. I can do that. My shit's already fucked up. You know, it's already healed and grown and developed and whatever. Ah, shit. That's it, man. Don't have sex if you're not making $60,000 a year or more. And don't do drugs unless you're 26 or older. Give yourself an extra year for your brain to close. Your skull doesn't even, the plates in your skull don't even close until you're 30. Just let your brain heal all the way and grow and master it before you start putting poisons and stuff in it. Come on. Wish somebody would have told me that. But that's it, man. I'm the bang, you the bang, we the bang together. Peace.